Welcome back to day 3 of Inktober 25 Zentangle Edition here at the Tangles and Toons channel. I'm back with my wife Gayle.
Hello everybody.
And today we are going to tackle the Tangle pattern Melvina by Nadine Roller. So we're going to jump right into that. I'm going to put mine roughly in this area here, the star formation. And then I'm going to have some of those ribbon pieces emanating from that just to create what I hope will be an interesting effect that we can use in the overall composition. So that's sort of where I'm going to start. So now that you kind of know where we're going to place it, at least on my version, here's how we're going to draw that star formation. You're going to want to go up an inch or inch and a half, maybe even 2 inches, depending on exactly the sizing of your elements. We're going to create two simple little parallel lines, about probably quarter to a half inch long. And then just as though we're continuing that, skip over about the same width as this is and draw two more parallel lines. Then we're just going to do the same thing in the opposite direction, and we're creating a nice X shape. From here, we're going to extend lines straight up. I would say let's go about a half inch or so up. And we're going to do the same down. And the same to each side. So now we've got what looks like 4 arrows pointing at each other. And now we're going to draw some diagonal lines that sort of mirror or aura these, if you will, and come to a point up here. So we're just going to come in and back out, just like that. Or you can come in both directions. It doesn't matter how you draw it. It's just that's the shape that we're going for, just like that. Now that we've got these 4 arrows pointing in, we're going to aura these edges of the shape and create a little square. So if we aura that, we kind of keep it in shape there, and then we just go up and finish that piece off. And we'll do that in all 4 of these corners. So I like to think of putting my point of that square right here in the center of that space and then just drawing up along that edge. Now if your squares are perfectly aligned, kudos to you. That just means you're very precise with your drawing. Mine are not so exact, but from here we want to just ink these squares in so that they're solid. This will give us a little contrast and boldness or drama with this particular tangle. So ink all 4 in, or ink in all 4, I guess would be the proper grammar, English-wise. If you need to sculpt your squares a little bit to make them more uniform, that's completely fine. In fact, that's a good and common practice in Zentangle. Folks will sculpt or tune or tweak their shapes often, and that's just part of the process. As we draw, we might think, boy, that seems kind of wonky, or maybe we just didn't make it big enough the first time or whatever, and we can just have no shame in making those adjustments. Just like a sculptor might do when he's working with clay or something like that. Now in terms of Melvina Tangle, that's it. This pattern is done. This is the star variation or the star version. But what I'm going to do is create a couple of the ribbon types that are going to come up emanating from these 2 corners, my upper right and lower right corners, and going off. I just think it will add kind of a neat appearance. So here's how we're going to do that. I'm going to angle my paper here a little bit so it works easier for me for drawing. But we're going to draw a very similar shape that these look like, but we're going to do a little two-ended version of it. So we're going to aura this, but actually before we do that, let me step back. The easiest way is to start at the corners and to draw straight up and go. Let's go a little bit longer than these were. And we're just going to draw straight parallel lines. And then we'll take this and just aura that square like that. Now once we've done that, we'll do the same thing here to the other end so that it's double-ended like I was saying. And this is how Nadine has designed for the border part to work. And then we just create our square here, or diamond. If you're looking at it this way, it might come out slightly more diamond shape. And there again, you can sculpt it. We'll ink that in. And then we'll repeat this process in the direction here, creating another segment. Now one more strip here we should get in there. One more segment, so to speak. As you see, mine didn't fit completely, right? The whole thing doesn't fit on the page, but now I have to emulate this or simulate that other piece that would normally be right there just so it doesn't look incomplete. All right, so we got that done. Now we're just going to do the same exact thing off this other, the lower right. So we'll do the same thing. We're just going to come down here. And we just will add these same elements in this direction. Now mine, this next one just goes right off the area there, so I only have to worry about the one side. So now we orient this again, and you can see we've created this kind of cool looking little star with some radiating rays, or it's just another cool shape, and we can add tangles in here as we go. We've got some different ideas that can happen there. All right, so we've got the basic Melvina pattern in place, but I want to add a few embellishments to what we've done here as well, just for fun, because I think it differentiates our individual drawings a little bit and makes it kind of a fun thing to do. So once again, I'll zoom in. I hope, unlike the last video, that I do not forget that I'm zoomed in and do half the video off camera. Again, I apologize for that. That was so annoying, but on my part. But hopefully this will come out better. So the embellishments are very simple. What I want to do, first let's create a little dot right here in the center. And I want to then draw a lightly detailed line, just kind of sketchy line almost, coming out from there. So you could kind of do it with a couple dots like that. Just, I don't want a distinct line. I want just the appearance of that line. This is just for me, just what I want to do. And then once I've got those lines in place, I'm going to do some basic rounding here, just like we would on other tangles, and just sort of darken in this centerpiece, just like that. And now up on the, what I'll call the arrow pieces, I want to do a rounding on nothing. So we're kind of just creating a little triangular shape right there, and then adding those same little broken lines or sketchy lines. So little tiny black triangle in there, or inked in, and then just a little bit of an impression of some kind of line or movement or something. I just like adding little details like this to drawings because it makes them different from everybody else's. Now, if you do what I'm doing, obviously we're following similar ideas, and that's fine. You don't have to feel bad about that. I'm not trying to say everyone's got to be different or else it's no good. I'm just saying it's the fun part, making it your own. And if you like the way that looks, then that is your own. You can do it yourself. Gayle, let me ask you, should we do any shading or line work on these arrows? What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah?
A little bit, yeah.
You want to do something there? All right, so Gayle voted. So we're going to do this. We're going to carry out a nice sketchy line down the center of these arrows. Just very lightly. And then Gayle voted, so we're going to do, let's do like a hatching line instead of a lot of graphite or anything. And we're just, using this top one as an example. I'm going to go at an angle perpendicular to these lines, or to this bottom line. This will help just add a sense of variety and shade maybe to that. And so I'm going to rotate, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to do it to the same side of each of my arrows. This is just a different way to decorate or embellish the Melvina star, since this is kind of that central point on our tangle. And so what I'm doing is just rotating my paper to make it easier to draw each of these in a similar way. You can keep it in the same position if that works for you, but I just find it's easier for me. Now, I'm not going to do anything to these since they're a little bit different. I'm going to shade those, but I am getting, oh no, I'm getting a Toon Alert, and it's time to add a cartoon element to our tangles here. And let's do that. So let's start right over here. Let's go right to the top of this little square, the upper left square, and a little bit to the left side, we're going to come up like this and just create a loop that goes down. We're going to do the same thing over on this side. All right. Then starting here, we're going to kind of go up and go like that. And we're going to do the same, almost like a bowling pin sort of shape, but it doesn't have to be exact or precise. Now what we need to do, let's see, I think we need to have this coming out like this. All right, and now let's put a little circle here. Uh-oh. We definitely have a Halloween toon incursion. So now we're going to need our eyes here. And our little kitty nose. And now we need to ink this whole thing in. Ink in, we're going to have a black cat that has invaded our tangulations here. And this just continues the tradition here at the Tangles and Toons channel, where we like to combine these things whenever we can. And as I said in the preparation video, Halloween and October always brings out the opportunity for me for cartoons and skulls and little monsters and just all these little things that we might experience around Halloween time. So I thought, hey, I'll involve you folks in it as well. Now, if you don't want to add these, as I said before in the preparation video, you certainly don't have to. There's no Tangle police or Tangles and Toons police force that's going to come out and kick your door in and examine your composition to see whether or not you participated properly. That's not how we work here. But I want to provide this opportunity for those of you who like to do something a little different, to expand your creative repertoire by adding some cartoon elements. Then this is exactly why I'm providing this option, and because I simply enjoy doing it myself. And by just making this a silhouette, keeping the eyes and the little nose there white, but adding this as a silhouette, it just makes it easier to draw because we don't have to worry about details or shading or anything like that. We're just creating an outline shape, a silhouette, and filling it with ink. It just makes the process easy. And if you wanted to draw this and you're nervous about ruining your whole composition, if you make a mistake, first of all, there are no mistakes, right? There's just happy accidents, as Bob Ross used to say. But what we want to do, or what you could do rather, is you can draw the outline with your pencil first, if that makes you feel more comfortable. And then you have a good spot where it's all set and ready to go, and you're comfortable, and then you just ink that in. So here I'm going to add little whiskers on each side. And now we have our cartoon invasion there. So let's zoom back out. How do we look here? I like it. What do you think, Gail?
Looks good.
All right.
Cats are always a good addition.
Yes, Gail says cats are always a good addition, if you couldn't hear that. So now we need to do our shading here. So I zoomed out so you could get that bird's eye view. Let's zoom back in. And what we're going to do on these pieces, we're going to add a little bit of shading graphite here on each end of these ribbons, or these little segments here that are on our ribbon. So I'm doing the same here onto this bottom ribbon that we made, just adding the graphite that we can disperse and diffuse a little bit that way. So in this case, the use of the graphite is not really adding much in terms of a 3D shape, at least to my eye, but it does add some tonal variety, and it just makes it a little more interesting then to look at least in my opinion. And we could also add, I didn't do this last time, but if you wanted to lift this nameplate up off the tangles behind it, you could add some shading here along these lines. It's not necessary, or you could wait till the very end and see if that's the way you want to go, but I'm going to go ahead and add that right now. Just speaking of dimensionality, I just think it'll lift that plate off, at least over these tangles that we've created thus far. I almost did it again, didn't I? Off the camera. Gail, you'll have to look up and scream at me every now and then. It's not your fault, but that gives you permission to yell at me.
Awesome.
I just think this little bit of graphite, now that I looked at it, will just help add some, what do I always say? Visual interest. My often repeated phrase. I think that works. Just gives it enough variety to not look boring and flat. Okay, so we've basically completed our Tangle for today. Added our little Toons element just for fun. But Gail, how did yours turn out?
Like that.
All right. I like it.
It's different.
Yeah, this is great. So let's go to our side-by-side like we always do. So you can see that though Gail's star is similar size, maybe a little bigger than mine, she made larger squares with hers, and so then her ribbons were larger by result, and her angles were a little different just because of the placement. See, mine is up further from the nameplate, hers is lower, so therefore the angle being the same, it just ran into this tangle instead of going up on the page. And it's great. It works perfectly. Her kitty is awesome. Oh, you forgot whiskers on your kitty, Gail. I know you're going to want to fix that. So I'll let you do that after the fact. But that's I know, because I know you're going to want to do
crucial.
that. So you're the kitty fan here, so I know you're going to want to do that. But yeah, it looks fantastic. Really good job. Well, everybody, I thank you so much for joining with us again today. Hopefully you had fun creating these tangle patterns, and we'll look forward to whatever comes tomorrow here in the Tangles and Toons channel. Until then, take care and have a great evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.